People are joining in. Let's start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our fifth event, a series of events that we are doing at WizeGen in order to inform especially parents and caregivers about the online situations and the risky behavior and risky things that every parent need to know about. In today's session, we are going to discuss WhatsApp, and the main question for us is WhatsApp safe for the kids, and some practical tips for parents. I think this one will be a shorter one. We are aiming for roughly 10 minutes, but let's see if we can finish it at 10 minutes. So I think the most important questions that we get from many of the parents that we talk to is they keep asking us, is WhatsApp safe for kids, and what is the age limit? When should my child be allowed to go on WhatsApp? Here, as always, we want to make a disclaimer that at WizeGen, we always try to report on the findings from the academic perspective and the scientific body of knowledge. So the content is not ours. We always try to refer to academics and especially child psychologists and those who are actively doing research on these topics. For us, it's always a matter of presenting this data in a language that is more aligned with our day-to-day sort of parenting situations. Now, on the question of WhatsApp safety, we have to differentiate 2 points here. There is a technical privacy and technical safety. WhatsApp provides end-to-end encryption, right? Which means that basically no one outside the conversation, not even WhatsApp, can read your messages. This is a very interesting and important thing because this brings us to the second sort of safety aspect which we need to know about for especially for our children, and this is that's the developmental safety. Now, if there is a sort of a tool that message is encrypted and nobody can read messages there, then you need to rely on the cognitive and emotional capacity of your children to be able to handle situations like manipulation, conflict, unexpected kind of behavior, or even unexpected content that is shared with them. And we need to see if your child has the capability of understanding these situations. And that's when we actually say a platform like WhatsApp could be safe or not. But there are things at least every parent, we believe, needs to know about in terms of the general sort of WhatsApp landscape, especially for the youth. Now, I think it's fair to say, and it's safe to say, that WhatsApp is now one of the main communication tools for the youth in Europe. I'm almost sure that it's the same for the US, but we have the data for Europe. And there are different things that a young generation uses WhatsApp for, and think of class group chats or friendship groups, or even a sports and extracurricular sort of groups that you are part of, like your hockey and football club group and things like that. And then obviously the normal family groups, but also there are a rising number of groups that are being created based off of certain sort of social or online practices. To give you an example, people on Roblox usually team up and try to create a WhatsApp group. And I've seen this actually in the Netherlands. There was a parent who told us that there is a WhatsApp group. There is a group of kids who are trying to build the largest WhatsApp group about Roblox in the Netherlands, right? So these are many things that many, let's say, relatively random groups that especially kids try to make. And within these last let's say, category of groups that your child might be part of, usually the majority of the members, you and your child do not know them personally, right? And the interactions can be risky in these situations. But generally speaking, with respect to the 4C model, and for those of you who are not familiar with 4C, we are talking about especially a European framework that is now widely adopted globally, that talks about and profiles risk situations for children. And it starts with 4C: content risk, contact risks, conduct risks, and commercial risks. Now, I want to actually briefly talk about, let's say, each of them in terms of what could be harmful on WhatsApp on these sort of risks. In terms of content risks, it's interesting because it's not like platforms such as TikTok or Instagram where your child might be exposed to things that you don't want necessarily for them to see. It's usually the forwarded kind of content, and maybe even like things that are violent or shock videos or even sexual content or self-harm material, memes, things that can get out of hand. And these are usually, again, forwarded by peers. But especially on the last group that I mentioned, last category of groups that I mentioned that your child may be part of, like for instance, a group about Roblox, because many people are within those groups unknown to each other, they tend to share, let's say, more freely. And these are like, again, risky sort of things that your child might see. Now, the contact risk is far less dangerous than any other platform, mainly because it's rarely the case that the threat and let's say a harmful situation begins on WhatsApp, meaning that it's rarely the case that you hear like a parent saying that a random stranger directly started contacting my child on WhatsApp. It's usually something that we have had this conversation in almost all of our previous events, and we said that typically the behavior and the pattern is that the conversation starts on one of the major platforms like Roblox, like Fortnite, and things like that. And there is a thing called platform migration, where the conversation takes place on one platform and then migrates to another platform. And usually WhatsApp is the platform of destination. The migration happens towards and to WhatsApp. So in terms of contact risk, it's not as dangerous as other platforms. But when the conversation starts there, because of the encryption and because of the, let's say, sort of technical aspects of it, it's usually very dangerous if you haven't at least enabled the safety features that recently was introduced by WhatsApp, and you need to basically be very aware of them. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about the, let's say, conduct risks, which seems to be in this day and age actually quite common among youngsters. I want to say the most important thing that we have seen is unfortunately some sort of some way of, let's say, practicing cyberbullying. I want to actually give you some examples of this. Now, especially with like young girls, it's quite common. Obviously boys as well, but this is actually very important for girls because it affects their self-esteem and things like that. Now, social exclusion. There are groups that are going to shape, and then for whatever reason, they have initially a child on that group, and then they remove the child. And this actually immediately gives a very negative feeling to the child. It's actually giving like a social exclusion feeling. Sometimes several children target one peer at once. They call it pile-ons. And the bystanders are afraid to, bystanders meaning people who are not reacting to the bullying, or react to say anything. And the other ones are usually getting even more aggressive, making fun of the like one specific person. And this gets out of hand pretty quickly. Screenshot shaming, meaning like private interactions between like group members get to surface to group level, and then people start to make fun of the conversations, and this is actually very shameful for especially young kids. Sticker harassment. It's very common. It has been reported like quite a lot, where a certain number of, let's say, children start to create, let's say, stickers, embarrassing photos and stickers cropped into like sort of like a meme, and then that is actually going to be circulated for weeks, like for a specific situation. Children start to, like for laughing or for like a funny face or stuff like that, they start to share the sticker that has been created for that specific child, and then that's very embarrassing for the child. Now, a lot of other things like late night pressures or mock polls and things like that could also happen. One other thing that I want to mention is that photo requests is the very, let's say, common. So we talked about the 4CA, three of them: content, contact, conduct. The commercial one, it's again very rare. So it's not the, let's say, the most important platform for commercial exploitation. And scammers usually rarely directly target people on WhatsApp. But like, for instance, when contact happens from a stranger, photo requests are quite common. Even sometimes platform migration from WhatsApp to other platform happens. And then secrecy is something that is actually not very easy to manage on this platform, with like, for instance, features like disappearing messages and misleading, let's say, content that are shared there. Now, what age should a child go on WhatsApp? And this is actually something that we want to discuss. There is no specific age, right? We at WizeGen strongly believe that readiness is not directly tied to a specific age. And we always give this example of, can you just ask anybody, not a child, but even an adult, to drive a car without proper trainings, right? It's impossible. Like, you will definitely crash. And this is exactly the same for the case of WhatsApp as well. You have to do like the proper training, give them like maybe 3 codes: green, yellow, red, likely to, for instance, the likelihood of them in terms of like how they react to risky situations. Have a seat with them. We have an assessment on our platform, on our website. You can do that for free and understand the risk profile of your child. And usually with this, you have a better sense of understanding about your risk profile of the child. And then as soon as you are almost sure that there is no risky, let's say, situation, and they, generally speaking, understand the risk profile of this platform, it would be the time to have them use WhatsApp. Also, very briefly, and as a last point, I want to touch base on the WhatsApp privacy settings every parent should know. So the set of these ones are quite common these days, like profile photos set to only be shown to the contact list. About section the same, basically either set to my contacts or to nobody. Last seen or online kind of status exactly the same. Groups set to only my contacts. Silence unknown callers, 2-step verifications, things like that. I have a whole list. We have created a checklist. You're more than welcome to reach out and we will share all of these with you. But again, there are like some parent managed accounts, which was like an update that WhatsApp did in 2026, in March 2026, which is a very important feature. Kids under the age of 13 need to use this with a sort of a pin protected parental control, very strict, very nice move by Meta. And this is something that we wanted to share as well. Now, should you read your child's messages? As the last point, we believe in creating trust, and trust doesn't mean violating your child's privacy, but it definitely means you at least need to be aware of what's happening, and you need to constantly have the conversations and basically have the talk constantly with them. Never say that they will be in trouble if they do something, let's say, crazy or stupid on these, let's say, platforms. Always give them the trust and the confidence that they are able to manage their situation personally, but also you have to be aware of what's happening on these platforms. Now, cool, okay, we have a lot more to discuss about WhatsApp. There are many, many things that you can do. We have written a beautiful long article on a blog article on our website, www.wizegen.com, that you can find. And beyond that, I think that's it, guys. Thank you very much for attending. Have a wonderful evening for the folks in Europe, and have a wonderful day for our American friends.